Hey guys, this is Get Me Cool Gamer here. We're bringing you another moveset guide. So this time we're going to be doing Skeledirge. Skeledirge is one of my favorite Pokemon that came out of Generation 9. It is just so good competitively. It has so many things going for it. I don't know what they were thinking when they made this thing. I think everybody's initial impressions once they took a look at this, we were like, "Oh, it's going to be good," but this thing ended up being phenomenal. And a big part of that is its hit point stats. Look at that, 104 hit points for a starter. That's insane. That gives you a lot more effective bulk. Having just natural stats in your hit points over the defenses. But then when you have high defenses like that, 100 on the defense, even 75 in the special defense with that 104 hit point stat is very, very solid, right? Um, and then that attack stat, you're not really wasting any stats on a stat you're not going to use, right? You're never going to use that attack stat. So only having 75 in the attack stat allows us to have that 110 special attack stat that we can just kind of snowball with. Speed doesn't really matter too much, but 66 allows you to outspeed some things. It's a decent speed tier to be in. Most times you're really just going to go super bulky and be slower than a lot of things anyway. But compared to a lot of the slow Pokemon, you do find a lot of outspeed, which is really really nice. Looking at its abilities, it gets unaware. Okay, it's nuts. They gave us 3 broken unaware Pokemon in this generation, and I don't know what they were thinking. So for those of you that don't know, unaware ignores stat changes that Pokemon have, the opposing Pokemon. It could be good or a bad thing. And what I mean by that is it can be really, really good if that they got up like 6 Calm Minds. That's not going to affect you when they try to attack you. And when you attack them, their special defense raises, you'll ignore. But it also means that if you go up against Pokemon using Draco Meteor, like a High Dragon, that special defense, that special attack drop that it gets, we're going to ignore that too. So it really doesn't get penalized by getting those special attack drops. So it's something we just have to be really careful of with unaware. Viable moves. We have Torch on. Okay, that's its signature move. 80 base power fire type move, and it boosts your special attack. There's no drawbacks to that, and it really allows you to get some special attack boosts without having to dedicate a whole slot to a move that boosts your special attack, right? Will-O-Wisp, you can cripple physical attackers. This is such a good move for Skeledirge. Most Skeledirge are going to be running Will-O-Wisp because it's just such a good move. Shadow Ball is going to be your best ghost type attacking move. You do have access to Hex technically, but the thing is, even if you're getting that 130 base power damage with Hex, most times it's worth just going for 2 Shadow Balls and hoping for the best. Obviously, if you get that special defense drop, it really doesn't benefit us when we're running unaware. But either way, it's just a really solid stab option, and Ghost type hits most Pokemon. Slack off is going to give us phenomenal recovery, and I'm really really glad they did nerf recovery moves in this generation. Having them all go down to 8 power points is still plenty of moves, especially in a 3v3 setting, to get set up properly. But it doesn't allow you to just abuse how tanky the Pokemon is. I think Pokemon like Clefable have just been so busted in the past because it can just set up on anything. And it just really limits that because this Pokemon would be the same way with unaware and all the other things you have running for it. If it had more than just the 8 PP you can use in Slack Off, it would be too good, right? Same, we'll talk about that set in a little bit. Terra Blast, obviously, just having good special coverage onto a good Terra type is a really good thing. Earth Power is a really unique coverage move, and I don't see a lot of people running it, but every once in a while, I see a Skeledirge taking an Earth Power, and it really can come as a surprise and give you a huge advantage. Substitute. So why would you run substitute on Skeledirge? Really just anti meta. I've seen the one hit KO meta get really out of hand. Back when Dondozo was using Fissure constantly, and I'm a big fan of Fissure Dondozo. I would see Skeledirge run substitute just to be able to handle that. And then also Salt Cure protects you from that. It's going to protect you from status. So substitute can actually be a really, really good move on Skeledirge, especially when you have Slack Off, especially when you like to go with the leftovers. There's really some good synergy there with that. And then Curse. You don't really think of Skeledirge as a ghost type Pokemon that's going to set up a curse, but you can really hide behind Curse. Curse breaks through a lot of things. And with you being such a bulky Pokemon like this, when you have access to the Will-O-Wisp, Curse is a really, really awesome move to run on Skeledirge with the slack off if that's something you want to try to run. It's really, really strong against Dragonite, right? It can set up a burn on Dragonite, shut it down. Tainlu, you're going to have to terrastalize, obviously, if you're going up against the Tainlu, but if you can get a burn down on Tainlu, you can really kind of put some pressure on Tainlu, and it's kind of a nice Pokemon to set up on. Same thing with Iron Hands. You have to be careful what Terra type you're using, but it's super, super easy to set up on Iron Hands, or if you don't Terra, that's good. Now Landorus, again, you're gonna have to Terra. It really, really likes defensive Terra types, like Terra Normal, Terra Water, Terra Fairy. All those are really, really good on Skeledirge. But you can really handle a lot of these big, big threats in the meta right now, like Landorus and Dragonite. And then Annihilate, not always the best matchup, especially if it taunts you, but it definitely has some potential to shut down Annihilate. If it's not running a Terrifier, you can get a Will-O-Wisp on Annihilate and really shut it down. But you don't want to get taunted too. So it just really depends on the set you're running. And then counters, Urshifu Rapid Strike Salad, I feel like it's just a really solid counter because those critical hits are going to hit through burn. And with the water is really, really good. That's where I think Terra Water Skeledirge really shines, is to go up against those bad water type matchups. Rotom Wash is just going to give us a lot of problems, right? It can trick a choice item onto us. It's got a really, really good typing. And that's going to be a tough one to go up against. We're not especially defensive, and so Rotom Wash puts a lot of pressure on us. I was just talking about this a minute ago, but Dondozo, really, really good against Skeledirge as long as they're not running Substitute. So it just kind of depends on where the meta is right now. Substitute Skeledirge was getting really, really popular when the usage of Dondozo was out of hand. I think now that there's enough counters in the game with some of the Pokemon that they've added to ranked singles, it's gotten a lot better. Baxcalibur is a really, really good counter to Skeledirge. And you may be wondering, like, why am I putting that down? But you're immune to getting burned with Baxcalibur, and most Baxcalibur are going to be running Earthquake for coverage, and it can just set up on him. Obviously, you're going to ignore its stat changes, but unless you're like fully defensive Skeledirge, Baxcalibur is going to be a matchup you just don't want to go up against. And then Hippowdon's everywhere, right? Hippowdon has Fissure, it has Yawn, it has Whirlwind, Stealth Rocks, Earthquake is really powerful on it. And so Hippowdon's everywhere right now, and Skeledirge really doesn't want to match up against it. Skeledirge can terastalize and burn Hippowdon and have some ways to deal with it, but if you get put to sleep, if it uses Yawn on you, that's not a fun matchup. So let's go ahead and hop into Showdown here and take another look at some of the movesets for Skeledirge. All right. So this first set is one of my favorite sets. We go special defensive bulky. That 12 speed is just to outspeed creep other Skeledirge. We're going Terra Normal to deal with ghost types. We have Will-O-Wisp to deal with physical attackers. And we just set up with Torch on. We have Shadow Ball for coverage, and we can slack off. This set is insane. This is the set that I run most of the time. You just shut down so many teams with this one single Pokemon, and it's absolutely insane. Throat Spray, a lot of synergy with Torch on, right? So you get to go +2 after using one Torch on. That can be really, really solid option. I found 172 speed's a really, really nice speed tier. And this synergizes really well with like Calm Mind, Baton Pass, Espathra. If you can get +2 speed on Skeledirge, this can really just kind of take away with the game. You have really, really good coverage moves. I would do Terra Fairy on this because with the Earth Power, you just have great coverage. If you're going +2, you can take out most things. 110 Modest Nature, that's insane, right? We also have Curse Set. Again, this is what I was talking about. Running substitutes so you can deal with that taunt, fissure, things like that. You're hiding behind the Will-O-Wisp. You can get a curse and then just heal up. That'd be really annoying. Blunder Policy, an item you don't see used every day. Boost your speed if you miss. So the idea is you go Sing, you either miss, and then you get +2 speed and you can go for Sing again, or you put them to sleep. You can set up and play how you want to play. You could also just go for a healing move here instead of Terra Blast, like Slack Off. Really, really solid option. And then the last set I wanted to talk about was Crocolore. Excellent Eviolite user. In this case, I just did Crunch as like a good coverage move since we're going to be boosted with Curse. Now, we're not a Ghost type, so that's why we're going Curse, and this is going to be more physical set. So I really hope this helps you out. I love this Pokemon. It's super, super good. You should definitely consider trying it out.